Okay friends, buckle up. If you don't want to go along for a ride on the woo-woo train, just stop playing this video right now. No offense. I've been on YouTube for a long time now, so it's really interesting to me when I see strange news unfolding in real time that brings past research into focus. Most of you probably heard about the Hoover Dam incident on Friday. For those who missed it, here's the official story. On Friday, June 15th, a 30-year-old man who has been identified as Matthew P. Wright, who was armed with a rifle and driving what appeared to be a Brinks-style armored vehicle used to courier money to and from banks, parked the vehicle to block traffic on the Hoover Dam bypass bridge. Now, when we consider the power of suggestion, neuro-linguistic programming, and the elite's propensity for telegraphing their future plans, I think this story may be a very important one. So let's dig deeper.
Man in FBI custody tonight after blocking traffic on the Hoover Dam bypass bridge with an armored truck. Thank you for joining us. I'm Marie Mortera.
And I'm Jim Snyder. The standoff on the Pat Tillman Bridge stopped traffic on both sides of the border with Arizona.
Did you catch that? 3 things. Hoover Dam, armored truck, Pat Tillman. It's interesting to note that Matthew P. Wright was not on the Hoover Dam itself, but rather on the Hoover Dam Bypass Bridge, the official name of which is the Mike O'Callahan Pat Tillman Bridge. As we dissect this story, think about predictive programming and linguistics. Consider how the deep state has in the past primed or programmed the minds of the public for specific acts of terror before they happened.
The Cold War's over, John, but with no clear enemy to stockpile against, the arms market's flat. But bring down a fully loaded 727 into the middle of New York City, and you'll find a dozen tin pot dictators all over the world just clamoring to take responsibility.
9/11 is just one such example.
Oh, I'd love to see New York. We could all go with the bus company's special super sitter fare. $9? This one's on me.
So, Hoover Dam, armored truck, Pat Tillman. Certainly, a truck of that size could be loaded with explosives to be used to destroy a bridge or at least provide cover for the destruction of a bridge or a dam. Hoover Dam, armored truck, Pat Tillman.
The standoff on the Pat Tillman Bridge stopped traffic on both sides of the border with Arizona.
Linguistic programming. Who was Pat Tillman? Tillman was a professional football player at the height of his career when he quit playing for the Arizona Cardinals, walked away from a multi-million-dollar contract to join the Army Rangers and fight for his country in reaction to the 9/11 attacks. Tillman soon found himself in Afghanistan, and as a true patriot, quickly realized that the war on terror was a sham, and everything he believed that led him to join the Army Rangers in the first place, a lie. Tillman was very vocal about what he had discovered, and instead of allowing Tillman to return to the United States and become a vocal opponent to the Pentagon military-industrial complex's war on terror, they decided to frag him and claim he was a hero who died in a firefight with the enemy. Tillman was murdered by his own unit to shut him up. Hoover Dam.
There was some nut in an armored vehicle that had blocked traffic on the bridge, and supposedly he was armed and he was flashing notes.
Police say Matthew Wright from Henderson barricaded himself inside an armored truck on the Pat Tillman Bridge, a link to the national icon.
So, a lone nut armed with a rifle and handgun in an armored truck on the Pat Tillman Hoover Dam Bypass Bridge. Enough loaded language for you? Just wait, it gets better. The lone nut was holding up a sign in the window of the truck which read, "Release the OIG report."
No more lies! No more bullshit! We the people demand full disclosure. We elected you to do a duty. You said you were going to lock certain people up if you were elected. You have yet to do that.
So this nut, Matthew P. Wright, not only used an armored truck to block traffic on the Pat Tillman Hoover Dam access bridge, he was also armed and was informed about the OIG report, which exposes the collusion and corruption of the FBI, James Comey, Peter Strzok, and Lisa Page's efforts to cover up Hillary's crimes while framing Donald Trump. Lone nut, Hoover Dam, armored truck, OIG report.
No more lies! No more bullshit!
The dam is considered national critical infrastructure, one of 16 vital assets that keeps our nation running.
Okay, so anyone who cares about the OIG report and FBI corruption is clearly a nut, capable of getting his hands on an armored truck and threatening our nation's vital infrastructure. Check. But that's not the end of the story, friends. Now, for the deep state New World Order woo-woo. I've been on YouTube for a long time, and I've seen many people come and go, and there are a few who have been around as long as I have that continue to share information and analysis that I find compelling and informative. And some of you may not agree with me, but that's fine. Be civil. Some of you may be familiar with TheJonathanKleck on YouTube. TheJonathanKleck views our state as human beings in the world much as I do. We are in a war, and it's a war of a spiritual nature. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. TheJonathanKleck has discovered that ingeniously woven into our money, Federal Reserve notes, are images of terror attacks. Our friends at TruthStream Media have reported on TheJonathanKleck's findings, so I'm not alone in finding his information thought-provoking. Kleck has decrypted U.S. currency and has revealed what he believes are hidden images on the $10, $20, $50, and $100 bills. Images that include the destruction of the Alfred P. Murrah Building in Oklahoma City, the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and the coming destruction of New York City by a tidal wave, likely caused by a nuclear device exploding in the Atlantic Ocean. Kleck made the discoveries by turning each bill into a pentagram and then turning the pentagram upside down. TheJonathanKleck believes the failure or destruction of the Hoover Dam is shown on the $50 Federal Reserve note.
If you look from it from above, is in the same shape as the female reproductive system. So if the dam were to burst, it would represent the water breaking and the birthing of the new race. Well, at the Hoover Dam is a plaque. It says, "They died to make the desert bloom." Lucifer's kingdom was destitute, like a desert. It was desolate. But this plaque is supposed to be for the people that died during the building of the Hoover Dam. Well, if you look up here, the guy's hands are under two different grains. It's like the wheat and the weeds. Using his arms and his chest, you can see it is Baphomet. It is the goat-headed god.
Now here's what they'll do. Then they're going to blame it on someone.
Some nut in an armored vehicle that had blocked traffic on the bridge.
Friends, for those of us who are informed about the elite's way of using symbols and predictive programming to shape or prepare our minds for future events, certainly the story of a lone nut in an armored truck blocking traffic to the Pat Tillman Bridge might, for very good reasons, give us pause. For those interested in learning more about the Hoover Dam and the symbology surrounding it and embedded on it, I'll link the video, Why is the Illuminati Interested in the Hoover Dam, by YouTube's Pastor Tolliver, below this video. Here's a clip.
Predictive programming is used both for conditioning of the masses, but also for messaging for those who are familiar with the symbols and meaning. Repeated use of a pattern in conjunction with others is not an accidental trend, it is a deliberate message.
Thanks for tuning in. For real news 24/7, visit us at SGTreport.com.
The national security infrastructure, the national security state, the military-industrial complex is of, by, and for Zionists. It is controlled by Wall Street as a profit center. My best guess is that in the next 2 years, we're going to see AIPAC and the Anti-Defamation League forced to register as agents of a foreign power, which is something Jack Kennedy was planning to do.